At the time of me making this video, we're only about a week and a half away from Super Week in both the NA and EU League Championship Series, which will be followed by the regional finals at Gamescom and PAX, and then of course Worlds. Quick side note, I'm actually going to be going to PAX this year, so if any of you guys see me there watching some League or playing some games or just walking the floor, feel free to stop me and say hi. I'd love to meet some of you guys, and I'm really looking forward to everything. But anyway, to get back on topic, the point is a lot of amazing stuff is happening in the League of Legends competitive scene, from the 18 million unique viewers at All-Stars, to Nissan sponsoring Curse, to the upcoming finals. And a lot of you have been asking me recently if there's anything that you can actually learn from watching these competitive games. Probably because I've stated multiple times in the past that I'm a big believer in practice being the only thing that can truly make you better at the game, that and maybe Osu. Well, I'm gonna have to go back on my word this time, because there actually is a lot you can learn from the LCS or OGN or GPL, or whichever league it is that you like to watch. And you should be watching to help promote League of Legends and esports as a whole, and just to have fun. But there's also a lot that you can misuse if you don't know what it is that you should be paying attention to and what you should be ignoring. So today I'm going to talk about what you can take away from watching the LCS and what you shouldn't. Firstly, don't look at the players' playstyles too much. When playing in big leagues like this, they play games very differently, with much more respect for their opponents than you should be playing in solo queue. Now, while I have previously said in other videos that you should respect your opponents and assume they're playing smart so you don't die, there is such a thing as too much respect. People you play in solo queue will make plenty of mistakes, especially if you're in gold divisions or lower, so you should play much more, maybe not aggressively, but much more offensively in solo queue as opposed to what you see in the LCS. You can learn a decent amount by watching pros' playstyles, which I'll talk about in a second, but take note that if they were at your rating playing solo queue, they'd play the game much differently than what you're seeing on stage. Secondly, don't pay too much attention to the champions played. Now this is actually both in the do's and don'ts column, so I'll explain what you can gain from paying attention to picks and bans in a little bit, but the big thing you should try to avoid is don't go out and say, this pro played this champion, he's OP, I should pick him in solo queue so he carries me to diamond. Just because a champion fits into a specific team's practiced strategy doesn't mean he's an easy to learn or fun champion for you to play in solo queue. And finally, make sure you're careful about directly copying stuff that the pros do in whatever league you're watching, since a lot of leagues will play their games on previous patches for a little while, like a week or two, or sometimes even longer, before switching over to whatever patch was just released. For example, if you saw a bunch of 2v1 lane swaps in last week's LCS, that's because they were playing on 3.9, whereas you and I will be playing on 3.10 or above for all of our games in solo queue, where due to the armor buffs to turrets, 2v1ing is much less common and not really as useful. Not that there is ever really too much of a problem with 2v1 lanes in solo queue, but you get the point. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at what you should be taking away from watching the pros. Firstly, pay attention to builds. Now, there's a lot more level 1 action in competitive games than there is in solo queue, so you may not want to pay too much attention to starting items, especially if you see a certain role go for an odd start since they want as many wards as possible level 1, but you should make sure that you're looking at everything the pros build on champions you play. Keep in mind, builds change from game to game depending on who you play against. You don't get magic resistance against an all AD team, but if you see a couple pros consistently building items on a champion that you never get when you play them, maybe you should try getting them. And conversely, if they always get everything you get, then you know you're building very intelligently and that you're on the right track. Secondly, try to start paying attention to their decision making. Decision making is a hard skill for someone to teach, and it's also pretty hard for someone to learn through something other than just straight practice. But if you pay attention to a specific lane or a specific moment before a team fight, you can compare what the pros do to what you think they should do. This is a tricky one since, like I said earlier, you have to know that they're going to be playing the game much more cautiously than you should, but the thought process is still going to be the same. Wait for someone to make some sort of mistake or leave some sort of opening, and then go on in and initiate. And finally, do take a few notes on who you see being picked and banned. You shouldn't look at the occasional odd pro pick and say, this pro is playing him, that champion must be really strong, but you can take a few things away from who's picked and banned in the LCS and at Worlds. For one, you can see who people will be much more tolerable towards in solo queue. Hopefully, at whatever rating it is that you're at, the majority of people will think, well, Diamond Prox won that one game with Jungle Karma, maybe this guy's a good Jungle Karma too. But in my mind, the most important thing you can look look at with pro picks is who the pros think have potential. If we see another Korean team picking Singed top at Worlds this year, like we did last year with Shy and Azubu Frost and everyone, that may not mean Singed is a super crazy, easy to carry with champion in solo queue, but it does mean at least one of the top players in the world thinks Singed can go head to head with other top players champions who are traditionally seen as stronger, more viable picks. If he thinks Singed is that strong, then you can definitely learn him and carry some games in solo queue as well. You just have to make sure that you put the effort in and don't expect the champion to carry you. Quickly, before I sign off, I'd like to give one little announcement. As many of you know, G Fuel sponsors me, and recently I did a pretty big discount where you could get 40% off of G Fuel if you use the promo code GBay99. You can still get 10% off if you use that promo code. But right now, they would love to do a giveaway with you guys where they give away a bunch of G Fuel and something else that you would like. So if you're interested in taking a part and getting some free stuff, feel free to either leave a comment below or tweet at GBay99 and at Gamma Gamers and say what exactly is that you guys would like to see in this giveaway. They'll give away a bunch of G Fuel and something else, whether it's a keyboard or mouse or headset or microphone or riot points or whatever. So be sure to leave a comment or tweet at us, and I'll be sure to update you all on that soon. I'll be sure to update you on packs and when the giveaway is taking place and all the details on it. But until then, thank you all very much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. Good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.